Ah, we're not finished, are we? Bella. This is why I haven't been doing many videos, because of this dog. Alright, relax, calm down, calm down, it's okay, Here, stay with this, So as I was trying to say, chances are this will probably be the last video I'll do for a while, because going into October, normally I have my seasonal job. So chances are there may or may not be a new vlog or a video for a while, because October is a really, really busy time for me. But I want to get something out there. I really want to talk about something. And because this movie crossed my path, it's probably a safe bet to warn everybody that it's not worth seeing. And I'm really sorry if my dog gets in the way. She's been lonely for the past 6 hours. No. We already did that bit. She really likes finger foods. So, I should probably start out by saying that Kevin Smith is a really interesting director. He's the kind of guy that can take a conversation and just make an entire movie out of it, and that's pretty much his style. Dialogue moves the film as opposed to just action. Unlike Quentin Tarantino, where you're expecting like a big gunfight or anything, the gunfight in Kevin Smith's movies are really debates and talking, morphs of geekdom. You know, stuff like Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And now it seems like he's taking a different turn for things with the strangest trilogy. The strangest one I've seen any director do. And it took me a while to consider why he would do this sort of thing, and I finally realized exactly why. It's something he's doing called the True North Trilogy, and I guess it's like 3 movies based around in Canada. The first one was Tusk, and I know I didn't do a vlog on that one. You can see my blog review of it. It pretty much has Justin Long just getting turned into a walrus. And I remember just being really disgusting and really grotesque and vile. Ooh, you're really, really biting there, aren't you? Well, can you please lay off me for a while? I gotta talk to people about this movie, thank you. You already bit me a couple of times. Where was I? Oh, yes. So, that movie was not good either, but at least it had a sense of a story going on. With this film, it's probably on par with Tusk in a lot of bad ways. In the previous movie, there was a scene with these 2 convenience store clerk girls played by Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp's daughters. And they were at least kind of funny in that one scene, in a sense. Well, for some bizarro reason, they're given an entire movie. I guess they were popular based on that one scene, or I don't know what Kevin Smith was really, really thinking. And when the running theme of your movie, and this is something that Kevin Smith explained in one of his earlier videos promoting this film, when your idea of the movie is millennial clerks, the quintessential idea of millennial clerks is, of course, Clerks done with like a younger cast and all that kind of stuff. But never did I think millennial clerks added up to being 2 annoying teenage brats who do absolutely nothing, but look at their phones and text a lot and have like that old, hashtag chat and stuff like that. Like, if this is really their depiction of the big new generation of millennials, I'm honestly scared for my life. And she's too. Look, her ears are perking up. She's really scared about it. The whole movie is that there are these 2 girls that run this convenience store called A to Z. Get it? Because it's set in Canada. And there's going to be spoilers ahead because the plot for this movie is so paper thin. You could just literally chop it up and it'll just be nothing but shredded tissue paper. That is how paper thin this story is. First, it's them running the store, and then they get, like, I guess an invitation to some big party. Well, not really an invitation. They're kind of invited by these 2 teenagers. They're so hot, And then afterwards, it turns out that there's not really a party, it's something else. And then it becomes Gremlins with these little mini zombie, well, not really zombie, but little mini Nazi Bratwurst creatures that apparently bleed sauerkraut. And then it becomes a metaphor for damning the movie critics and art critics and whatever critics exist. And then it becomes and then it becomes the climax to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And then it somehow has like a little bit of Jason X in there. It's so tonally off. It's like really tonally off. This is a weird and insane story, and at the heart of it all are two lead characters that are so irritating and annoying for the lingo and their attitude on life and their personality that it just so degrades me. Well, I guess to compare, I should probably explain. In the first Clerks, you didn't have that much of a problem with Dante and Randall. Because at the very least, you know, Randall was like the one who was very cynical while Dante was the straight man. So at least there was a yin and yang to it. So neither one of them was annoying. They were interesting, just by the way they played off each other. You had Dante being the straight man, the guy who didn't do well in college, and now here he is working at a retail store trying to live through life. He has the annoyance of his clerk neighbor, you know, doing the video rental store and stuff, and the two tussle up at the same time. They're best friends, and you wonder that if these two are such polar opposites, why are they friends? And that makes the relationship all the more interesting. Here, it's pretty much the same character, only cloned twice. The Colleen twins, I think they're called. They're pretty much just one personality. Oh, no, my mistake. It's the Dumb and Dumber personality. They're, one is, like, really brain dead and, you know, bleh, loony and stupid, and the other one is, like, a little cynical, but not that bright either. It's that kind of angle. And there's not really much of a difference in personality because they both act very much the same, aside from some slight minor differences to keep them apart and different. So all the entire movie, they're just pretty much whining and complaining about life. They, again, constantly, you know, look on their phones and like, oh, you know, go out to this place. And they're not at the times with past culture. They're all about the current new thing. It's that kind of characterization, and it's something that really, really irritates me. Like, at least in an Edgar Wright movie, like, say, The World's End, there's a point and a reason for those kind of characters to exist, because they're everywhere, and they're all like zombies or blank aliens with no identification because they're stuck to the little tiny machines, texting and texting, texting. And, yeah, I'm guilty of texting people. I'm guilty of, you know, using the internet, but not in a very, very abusive way. You know, I'm trying to get a life and all kind of stuff. But at the same time, when there's really not much of a motive for these characters, aside from the stupid girl personality, and I apologize, but this is quintessentially the entire film in a nutshell, the only thing they're interested is, you know, not getting a life, just to, you know, meet some nice guys, and, like, party, and... Okay, it's not the surfer girl routine, but you catch my drift. I hope you do. And I feel bad because these are Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp's daughters. I'm sure they're nice. Like, you can tell the points they're having fun, but their characters are written in such a very generic manner that there's nothing really funny about them outside the fact that they have this very thick Canadian accent. So instead of, you know, saying stuff like, sorry about that, it's sorry about that. You know, how about is boot. At least it's not as bad as Johnny Depp, who does absolutely nothing in this movie. He played a character in Tusk that was supposed to be like this inspector kind of character, and even I admit in that movie there was something of a character there, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But the fact that he barely did anything outside of just following the trail of, like, Walrus Justin Long is the only suitable reason. He pretty much served himself as a plot device, and that was just about it. And I'll give Depp this much credit. Under all those pounds of makeup that he has, like the moles and like the nose and everything, at least there's a sense of a character, but they really don't do anything with it. There's not much anything that interesting they do with that kind of character. He's just there to lazily crack puns and make jokes and say, like, I'm the greatest thing going, even though I don't do literally next to nothing in this movie, which is quintessentially what this character is. But at least in the first film, they had the advantage of using his abilities to get our main characters to Justin Long Walrus. I don't care, I'm just going to call him Justin Long Walrus. In this movie, he just sort of just pops in once in a while, and he's kind of like, oh, I kind of sort of have a purpose, but I'm actually the quirky, bizarre comic relief. And considering how much Depp has gone through this year with the divorce and the movies that haven't done so well, like Alice Through the Looking Glass, in a sense, I do feel bad for this guy because he can make a great performance. He can be a good actor. But man, I'm sorry, Depp, this is not your year. Go back to stuff like Black Mass. He was great as Whitey Bulger. Do those kinds of movies. Nick of Time, which is completely underrated. Seriously, watch that movie. It has Johnny Depp being secretly assigned to assassinate the governor. And he's hired by Christopher Walken. It is so good of a performance. There's also a one-legged veteran who gets to use his wooden leg as a weapon. Seriously, see that movie right now. It is worth it. But no, I feel bad for Depp because he's in that age where it's like, oh, I can be funny and quirky, ever since my days as Jack Sparrow. So, my theory with Depp these days is I'm gonna act that way because it's my new shtick now. I can be weird and, look all crazy and stuff. And it wasn't until this summer I finally binged on the Pink Panther movies, not the Steve Martin ones, the Peter Sellers one. A Shot in the Dark, Strikes Again, Return of the Pink Panther, which was the second film, the third movie, sorry. And then there was Revenge of the Pink Panther, just those four. I already saw the first one before, it wasn't that funny. The stuff with Peter Sellers was fine, everything else with the Phantom and the Diamond Heist, just not that interesting. But no, after seeing those movies, and then seeing Johnny Depp's character again, I can kind of see why this sort of character is written. He's supposed to be like this Inspector Clouseau that really thinks he's onto something when he doesn't admit his bumbling, klutzy kind of antics. But with Inspector Clouseau, at least he's doing something. He's actually trying to solve a case and investigate, despite his problems and flaws of, being incompetent. And with the character Guy Lapointe, or Lapointe, I think it's Guy Lapointe. the Lapointe, stupid joke. The point with this character is that he's just there to get a laugh out of it because he's bumbling and quirky and weird. And what makes those kind of characters funny is that despite being weird and quirky, they're trying to be serious and dramatic and do kinds of things. And when you have a character just sitting there doing weird and quirky things without having a purpose of the plot, you're just going to have someone just there with a very funny accent and doing all these weird puns and things. He's pretty much gonna be there for no reason at all. So that's two big wasted things. What about the story? Okay, again, spoiler alert because there's not much of a story. If you really if you've seen the trailer, yeah, you don't get the whole story, but even then, there's really nothing there. There's not much of a motive, and that'd be fine. That'd be funny if it's just a harmless little comedy, but there's really nothing that ties all the essence together. The Colleen twins are asked to go to like this big party, and then they're told, "Oh, you can't. You gotta work at the convenience store for tonight." They get bummed out, and then one of them gets the brilliant idea, if we can't have a party there, we're gonna have a party here in the convenience store. And then they call the two guys that invited them to the party, and then they're like, "Oh no, well, bring the party to you," and then, surprise, it's really just a trap. I don't know where this came out of the blue. I would have been fine without this twist. But obviously they're there just so they could serve as victims for the conflict of the movie, which we'll get into a second, because there's really nothing else to describe here, because it's so weird. The whole movie, when it gets to that point, it does like a 160, and it goes from being clueless, Mean Girls-esque, to just being a bizarre, flat-out zombie movie, not a zombie movie, sorry, Gremlins movie. The two boys turn out to be devil worshippers. Okay. Doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't really pay off. They're just there so they can get killed off by the Nazi Bratwurst creatures, just to show how they murder people by means of sneaking into their rectum and then coming out of their mouth. Yeah, I'm not describing that again. I think that speaks for itself. And then from there, for the last 40 to 45 minutes, it becomes a really, really poorly done Gremlins clone. Even to the point they actually do the microwave scene. There's literally a point where they take one of the Bratzies, they call them, because they're mini Nazis but made out of bratwurst. Wonderbar. So they take little mini CGI. They're all played by Kevin Smith, so little mini CGI Bratzy Kevin Smith. They throw him in the microwave and he explodes in a sauerkraut. Alright, there's something there. It's something. Doesn't tie to anything, but it's something. And the whole movie is just them. Again, the last 45 minutes. 45 minutes! Keep in mind, this is an 88-minute movie. And they spend the first 40 or 50 minutes with these two really annoying characters who are so irritating to the point you literally want to see them die. And I know that doesn't sound right, but I'm not referring to the actresses. The actresses are fine. It's just the script makes these characters so irritating and bitter and cynical to the point you really don't want to see them as the heroes. And when they achieve something heroic, you're just sort of sitting back going, oh, I guess we're supposed to care. That's kind of something. It happened. They're heroes. I should feel glad, despite the fact that they go into little hashtag techno-blabble all the time. And even there's points where they try to give a turnaround for the characters, but those don't work. Like, there's a scene where they're in the gym, again, on their phones a lot, and the gym teacher takes their phones away, and you know what they do when you take phones away from a millennial? They'll freak out because their life is in the palm of their hand. I would have been fine if, there was this whole arc where they learned to, keep off the phones for a while and focus on life, because, unexpected things kind of might happen, or at least the fact that, life can't be spent on, a device or a laptop or anything that much. I've been fine with that, but there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't go in that direction. They kind of stay the same, even after figuring out the whole Bratzy kind of thing and the lesson of, don't be conflicted of people who think differently of you or criticism or anything that much. We'll get to that in a second. And I would have been fine if it was just a straightforward, brainless comedy like One Crazy Summer, or, well, I don't want to say Dogma, because Dogma had commentary. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's quintessentially trying to be that movie where it's crazy, crazy, insane, but even then, these two characters are so unlikable, and so you can't really connect them that much because they're so bitter and mean. Like, okay, they're clerks, so they're very brash to customers and all that sort of stuff because they're, rude and all that. And I would have been fine if they had something connected to that. Like earlier in the movie is a scene where this guy goes to get cigarettes, and they're both, ticked off about how they can't go to this party, and they give him the wrong kind of cigarettes, and he mentions it to them, and they both announce very rudely, "Sorry about that," and then the customer goes, That's very un-Canadian-like," and I wanted to laugh at that joke. I really wanted to. The delivery was fine. That's like the only funniest moment I can think of, because it's like, okay, what is the Canadian way? I would have been fine if he was the villain of the movie, because it would have made sense. Like, yeah, that would have been so much better than the Nazi sauerkraut, bratwursts, whatever's they are. Like, don't have it be them. Have it be, like, this Jason-like serial killer who has this thing against, like, Clerks or Canadian Clerks, that matter, and is going around and torturing them. Like, don't have the whole thing be about demon-worshipping teenagers or Johnny Depp doing his little Inspector Clouseau kind of thing. Do that. That would have been actually a whole lot more fun. I could get into that easily. Like, yeah, have it be like this big Friday the 13th kind of thing. Yeah, I can see that happening. He kills people with a hockey stick. It'd be brilliant. But no, that's not the movie Kevin Smith made. Instead, the whole film is this German artist who got brashed on for his art, and because of all the criticisms, he decided to get revenge at society and made these little clone bratwurst versions of himself. And then he makes this giant monster suit out of human skin, which I will admit is not as graphic as the Walrus and Tusk, weirdly enough. And this giant monster has a hockey mask on because, Canadians like hockey. Hey! And he puts all the bratwursts in the suit that control the monster thing, and it's just... Stop. Just stop. You don't have to go this far. No, it's not working. You're just adding crazy on top of crazy just to get yourself out of a ditch. I feel bad because I know Kevin Smith can be a good writer. I know he can be a good director. But in this day and age, if you're going to have something weird, strange, and crazy, there has to be substance or a certain reason for it. Like, you can have weird and crazy without the substance. There's a character called Dr. Philo in UHF, and he has this whole weird, shtick routine where he's this weird, crazy scientist, and there's this whole twist at the end where you actually, find out why he was weird and crazy the whole time, which I'm not going to ruin because it's a really good joke. Which works in itself because at least there's a payoff to it. This one is more like, okay, we're going to have this, and then this, and then this, and there's not really much of a connection to it. Even the comedy is really, really off-tone and really strange in places. Like, there's ideas for jokes in here, but they don't really connect well. For example, it's, Kevin Smith said it's trying to be millennials' Clerks, and there are times you can tell it is trying to be like this new age of Clerks. This, next generation of Clerks 4 next generation. For example, in the movie Clerks, and this is one of my favorite scenes of Clerks, by the way, there's a scene where they close a store down just so they can play hockey on the roof. Now that's actually very ingenious. They're playing hockey, they're having fun, they're having a ball, and you have these irate customers below wanting to get in. Genius idea. Here they do that same thing, only they close the store just so they can have jam sessions in the back room. Okay. I mean, Smith and Depp's daughters sing fine. They're not bad singers. But the fact that they make up excuses to close down the store, just to jam and have fun, it doesn't work for some reason. It doesn't really... It doesn't work. Because at least in the movie Clerks, they were doing it just for like their own recreational purposes and stuff by means of sport and all that. Here, they close down for jam sessions. It's such a weird anomaly. And even their excuses for just closing the store down don't make sense either. Like, I think at one point, they keep changing the signs, which is a little clever, but then when you see the excuses to why they say they're closing down the store, it doesn't work. Like, I think at one point they write, store closed due to bubonic plague. Like, who has bubonic plague in this age? Oh, it's funny because they're not so smart after all, and they say that because it's a certain underused disease that people don't get affected these days, it makes it funny because the customer knows bubonic plague doesn't exist anymore in this age. Yeah. The one that nearly was kind of funny was at the end where they store closed for 10 minutes because of a massive period or something like that. It's that kind of humor. Bella, stop. And as I stated before, there's like ideas and certain things for subplots that could have gone anywhere, or any reason for why these characters are acting as they are. For example, the Colleen twins have this dad that's trying to date again and stuff, and they don't like his date, and when he's trying to have an intimate moment with said date, they blast their own variation of Styx, Babe I Love You, because it makes him cry, because it's the song that he sang when he was when he was a dad and they were babies, and it's like, that could go somewhere. But one, where's the mother? Two, are they just doing this to get attention from their pop? Again, it's another one of those, it's thrown in there just for the sake of story, just for the sake to have a motive, even though it's underdeveloped, much like everything else in this movie. I might as well go to final thoughts before she starts eating me. As you can notice. Don't see this movie. That's just all I have left for final thoughts. Don't see this movie. I feel bad for Kevin Smith, because he can do good stuff. He can do, really, really good stuff. There's even movies that he's done which people don't like that I really do have a soft spot for, like Mallrats. Though I personally prefer the extended version because there's more character to it. And there's a little more of a payoff there, but that's just me. Clerks 2, that's a good one. And if this is supposed to be like a new variation of Clerks for the next generation, that is just absolute crap. Because there's nothing to hang on to our characters. There's concept and ideas that are there, but they're not fully realized. It's so unfunny. The characters are so irritatingly annoying. I didn't even talk about this weird editing style where they introduce a new character in this really weird way. First they appear, and there's this Instagram vision thing where you see their picture and profile of all their stuff, and it even occurs for characters who have absolutely no purpose to be there except for that one little scene, and that's it. You could have cut that out so easily. You could have cut that effect out so easily, and the film, and it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered at all, because when your comedy's not there, when your characters are just bitter and not that interesting or even enjoyable for that matter, you really just have an inferior product. So at the end of the day, it's not a good movie at all. I'm almost tempted to say it's one of Kevin Smith's awful films. I'm not going to say worst because it sounds like Bratwurst. He's done better. The next movie he's going to do that's part of this weird wacko trilogy is called Moose Jaws, which sounds interesting. I mean, it's Jaws with a moose. But after seeing the little tagline at the end that says the Colleens will return, my hopes are sinking fast, man. Kevin Smith, if you're listening to this, please, this is coming from someone who really likes your work, who really appreciates what you do, who has an amazing podcast, by the way. Please, 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 make this a good one. Don't go out like you had with the previous two. Make this good. I want the good Kevin Smith. Please. I beg of you. Please. I know you can be a good writer. I know there's really great stuff about you, but please, don't botch this one up. It shouldn't be that hard to do. It's a parody of Jaws with a moose. Please. Don't make it like this one. Don't make it cheap and dumbed down and I tell you, this movie, it's already in my top 3 for worst of this year. And I'm saving the top spot for a certain film that I plan to see next month, if I ever get the chance to. Depending on if my theater, my local theater gets it. But on a side note, I want to, explain very briefly, and this is like a side criticism, not towards the film. Yoga Hosers was released, I think, for like one weekend or 1 week only, or it was a one-night thing. I don't really remember that well. But it was only in theaters for a very, very extremely short, limited time, and then it went to VOD, Video On Demand, on a site called FlixFling, which I will confirm is an actual site. And I'm going to spend 2 to 3 minutes talking about this, because a friend of mine at work told me that there was this new big thing that was going to be like Netflix and stuff, and at first I kind of didn't believe him. Now I do, which is kind of sad, because if this is what he was talking about, chances are it's not worth it. At least there's like a 2-week free trial, which is kind of nice. But here's my problem. The membership is $7.99 a month, which is the same price as Netflix, or unless if the price of Netflix went up, go figure. But here's what they get you. There's certain movies that are on a premium lease, which means that there are certain key movies that they have which can be rented or purchased. And it's, if I remember correctly, it's like $3.99 for the standard definition variation and like $4.99 for the high def version. $17.99 if you want to purchase it. $18 for an 88-minute, not very good Kevin Smith movie. And I know there's like other movies they have on there, but hear me out. You have Netflix, which for one price a month, there's like an unlimited array of films. Not to mention original content. And really, really good stuff like Stranger Things and Orange is the New Black, Pee-wee's Big Holiday. Like, really good stuff. Oh, well, and Very Merry Christmas, which I recommend seeing later this year. And then you have this new thing, FlixFling, which it's new in the business. I can kind of forgive it for that. But here's my problem. It's $7.99 a month. And to see all these other movies on this whole other premium, they have to be purchased or rented. That really adds to the bill. So, I know it sounds like I'm judging a little too early, but there's Redbox, there's service providers like Xfinity, Verizon, or whatever they have. It's not worth it. Unless you have like a FlixFling account, don't take offense, but in my personal view, there's others. I got a Roku device. I'm hooked up with Hulu, Vessel, and a few other spots. Like it's nice to see that there's like this whole other selection of films, but come on, just for like an extra premium to see those movies, because they do have like a section of like free movies and stuff like that. But if you want to see this other movie, this other film, it's on like this other certain extra premium, it's not worth it. It's really not, even for like the extra $5 or whatever, $6 just to. The extra $4 or $5 just to rent it or whatever, and the fact that it costs even more to purchase it for your account. It's not worth it, man. It's not. Stick to Netflix, stick to Hulu. Like, there's better stuff on there. Watch Stranger Things. That's gonna have a second season next year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just avoid that. Avoid yoga hosers. That's really all I got left to say. I don't think Bella has anything left to say. She's just tired out. So until then, I'm gonna say, if I ever get the chance, see you next month. There we go. Oh, you're really betty today. Ow, ow, easy, ow. It's okay, Bella. Ow. Oh, I guess you really want to talk about yoga hosers with me. I guess you're really excited, because this is not really the kind of movie to get excited for.